Hi, everyone. Jaqui Eicher here, coming to you from First Congregational United Church of Christ in Corvallis with a message for children. I would like us to begin first, before I say anything, by taking a deep breath and reminding ourselves who we are. I am a beloved child of God. Say that for yourself. I am a beloved child of God. And now, when you take a deep breath and then let it out, you can remind yourself that you can share this love of God with the world. I can share God's love with the world. Friends, what are you especially grateful for today? As you look around your own space or think about people you're living with or you get to see regularly or that you don't get to see regularly. Who or what is it that you are grateful for today? I'm looking around my space and I noticed those trees through the window as I was logging in here. And I remember when I first moved to this apartment 7 or 8 years ago, it was those trees that just filled me with gratitude. And I do love those trees out there. I've been lately hearing crickets in the trees at night, and I love that. Now, I invite you to think of something that maybe was challenging this week. It may have been a difficult time to get through, or a challenge, something that made you sad, anything that was difficult. For me, I heard some difficult news about my dad's health. I guess that is the most difficult thing for me this week. He just learned some news about his lungs, and that's challenging for him, and I know it is. So it is challenging for me too. I have a story today from the book of Luke. Luke was one of Jesus' friends who lived at the same time and then wrote about times he heard Jesus speak. And this story is from, it's from Luke chapter 13, I believe. Let me check that. Chapter 18, verses 9 through 14. And I'm reading from this book. If you have it at home, it's on page 396. The Pharisee and the tax collector. A Pharisee is someone who is a religious expert at the time, like a spiritual leader. And a tax collector is the same as today. They collect taxes. Jesus walked and talked with some friends. He leaned against a shade tree on the roadside and began to tell a story. Now, the crowd that gathered around Jesus thought that they were very important. These people thought they were more important than everyone else. So Jesus decided to tell this story. 2 men went to the temple to pray. One was a Pharisee, a leader who was known as a good man. Everyone thought he always did what was right. The other man, a tax collector, cheated and stole money. The loud prayer of the Pharisee echoed in the temple. Whoo! I am glad I am not like that tax collector, God. He is not nice. I am great. Amen. The tax collector prayed quietly. I am sorry for what I do, Lord, he whispered. I need you to help me do what is right. Amen. Here are the pictures. That's the Pharisee, and that's the tax collector. Jesus scratched his beard. He was thinking. Everyone thought the Pharisee was a great man, especially the Pharisee himself, Jesus said. But he did not think he needed help from God. He thought he was great all on his own. Oh, said the crowd. The tax collector knew he needed God and asked for God's help, Jesus said. When you pray, follow the example of the tax collector, who was quiet and humble when he talked to God. Ah, said the crowd. Jesus explained the lesson in his story. Prayer is not a time to brag or be proud. God sees past what people think and say about you. God knows what is in your heart. Prayer is a time to talk with God and ask for help. Jesus pushed off the tree and stepped onto the road. What will Jesus say next? The crowd wondered. Jesus was full of stories about God. Whisper a prayer in the morning, afternoon, and night, asking God to give you the daily help you need. What did you notice about the story? I love that question because I always ask myself that question. What did I notice? Even though I may have heard it again and again, every time I hear it, I notice something different. This time I'm really noticing that the tax collector, the Pharisee and the tax collector were really on opposite ends. The tax collector thought he was so great and he was being really loud and saying, I'm glad I'm not like the other guy. I'm great. Amen. And the other guy, the tax collector, thought he was so awful that he didn't even know what to do. And I'm noticing the tax collector and his feeling of being so awful that there was no hope for him, almost. Like he didn't have any love for himself. And I'm noticing that maybe because I feel that sometimes. I don't have love for myself, and I just think there's no point. I'm just so bad at everything. I'm not doing a good job. So why bother? I don't know if you've ever felt that. You try something and you don't like the results, and so you just give up on that task. Well, that is a good time for us to pray to God and ask for help loving ourselves and also loving those around us. No one is more important than the other. There are lots of ways to pray, and we have talked a lot about prayer. Different cultures pray in different ways. I'm sure you may have seen some people on a mat bending down and touching their head to the ground. That is one way to pray. Another is to pray as you meditate. If you're doing yoga or taking some breaths, you can just pray in your head. Sometimes, as we've talked about, singing is a kind of prayer, or making art is a kind of prayer. I think that it's important to figure out what works for you, what helps you feel close to God and able to communicate with God or listen and pass information back and forth, just to express what is in your heart. All right, friends, together on Sunday, we may play a little bit of a game with yarn, and I have a coloring page for you. And until then, until I see you or see you next week in a video, I hope that you all are able to have self-love to recognize that you are as important as everyone else. Until next time, I will say goodbye.